Hi, everyone. I hope you had a good weekend and that the semester is going well. So if you have not yet submitted your final draft of the Module 2 essay as well as the reflection, remember that those are due by tonight, Monday. And of course, I do know that we usually don't have something due on Mondays, so do let me know if that causes you any problems. And of course, also let me know if you have any questions as you finish any last revisions and polishing of your essay. So this week we're starting work on Module 3, exploring complex problems. And as that module's title indicates, we'll be considering how to explore complex problems. And of course, also what resources are available to us to aid us in that exploration. And we do have quite a few Canvas pages to get through on Tuesday. So first, on our presentations and demonstrations page, we have another presentation by my colleague, Dr. C. Once again, thanks to her for letting us use that. And once you have watched that, take a few minutes to also go through the Introduction to Problem Solving Skills website, which I have linked on Canvas on that same Canvas page. And that site takes you through different steps and scenarios for solving problems, which you might find to be helpful as you apply the ideas to the complex problem that you're focusing on this semester. So the first assigned readings or lesson materials for Module 3 after the presentations page on Canvas are the 3 TED Talk videos. Now, of course, I find TED Talks to be very enjoyable, and it's also nice to get a change of pace by watching something rather than needing to read it. So I also hope that you will enjoy those. And once you have watched those videos, we do have another student-facilitated discussion. And our student group has prepared a presentation as well as a prompt. Those are up on Canvas for you to start. And once you've responded to their prompt, there are also, make sure you're responding to classmates reading their posts as well. And I hope you will find that the student-facilitated discussion will be helpful for you as you consider the TED Talks, but also complex problems. So then we also have, on the same day, Tuesday, we have my mini lecture on peer-reviewed resources. Now, you're probably more used to peer review, referring to a class activity when you and your classmates give each other feedback on essays like we did recently. But peer review is also a process that much academic published work goes through. So take some time to read through my mini lecture on peer review, and then we'll follow that up with a quiz about peer-reviewed resources, which is also due by Tuesday night. And of course, peer-reviewed resources will provide us with reliable, relevant information. And of course, in academic settings, peer review means that something has been submitted and reviewed by scholars in the same field for accuracy, for trustworthiness, and of course also for worth, in the sense that it's worthwhile to read and publish and consider. So I have published some peer-reviewed articles, and in those cases, the reviewers that were unknown to me, they read and provided feedback on my work. They did not know that I was the one who wrote it, and of course I didn't know who they were, so this is a double-blind peer review. And in many cases, authors are asked to revise before something is accepted for publication, and that has happened in my own experience as well. But of course, not every source is peer-reviewed. In fact, it's pretty safe to say that most sources that we encounter on a daily basis are not peer-reviewed. So for example, newspaper articles are not peer-reviewed, magazine articles, a lot of the things you see on the internet and news sites, not peer-reviewed stuff. They might be looked at by an editor, but that is actually not the same thing as the process we're talking about here. So you should always ask yourself, why should you trust something that you read or hear? So for example, if you read a news story about a medical study that appeared, you might not just trust the news article, locate the original source and read that as well. In fact, there have actually been a few times where I went and read the study that a newspaper article was discussing and found that sometimes the news article had either misread or misinterpreted the study. So hopefully peer-reviewed resources can give us a little more confidence of trust, but you have to make sure that you know that it is a peer-reviewed source. So then once you complete the mini lecture and the quiz on peer-reviewed resources, also please take a few minutes to read through my other mini lecture, and that is on developing a bibliography and research strategies. So you get 2 mini lectures in one day, so look at you. So for Thursday, we will be having an assignment in which you'll be developing a bibliography, so you'll need to read through my notes on Tuesday, and I do hope that my notes in that mini lecture will be helpful for you as you get prepared for that bibliography assignment on Thursday. So speaking of Thursday, we do have, of course, that is the day you will be completing a bibliography of sources that you might use for your final class project on the complex problem that you identified earlier this semester and that you've been focusing on. And so, of course, although many of us probably associate bibliographies more with academic writing, such as you're doing for this class, but bibliographies are also useful outside of the classroom environment. So, really, a bibliography is providing a list of resources for your reader. And so this week, you should find some relevant sources, sources that are relevant to the complex problem that you are focusing on, that you identified at the beginning of the semester. And in particular, consider sources that represent different perspectives that help you better understand that complex problem, as well as possible solutions to that problem. So you will need to be drawing from those resources later in the semester for your final multimodal presentation on your complex problem. But be sure that you are, of course, are also meeting the minimum requirements for peer-reviewed resources for this bibliography assignment. Now, of course, if you are unsure if something is peer-reviewed, you can always check with me. I'm happy to take a look. And as I do note on in the instructions on Canvas, you should always plan on finding and reviewing more sources than you actually think you're going to need. It's always better to find more. This is long already. So if you have any difficulties, any questions as you work on all of that this week, make sure you do let me know.